Okay. Hi. I'm not sure if anyone is currently watching yet, but hello, my work together friends. It is another snowy night. I don't know if we'll be able to meet on Thursday if it kind of keeps on being snowy. So I may end up putting out a survey and seeing who wants to show or who wants to do another screencast. But hi, hope the weather has not been too much to you. Hope the evening finds you well. So, right, SVG. I wanted to spend tonight talking about. We talked a little bit about what SVG was, how it kind of you are making shapes and defining paths, which means that you can have these really small files that have like really rich images. They're really crap for photos, but they're awesome for all sorts of other things. It's a really great way to generate images. I myself, whenever I need to make like a loading spinner or something like that, an icon that I was just like, I just need this icon, I will often turn to SVG and it saves my bacon. And I likes my bacon. So what I want to talk about tonight is I covered a bit about uh, using code to programmatically create an SVG. So it would be cool to kind of do things where we don't just use a code to manually create SVG, but to like manipulate and be able to basically have live SVG images that we are controlling programmatically as easily as we would control any HTML element. I think that's cool. So yeah, I'm going to screen share. Okay. So I wanted to show an example of something I made with this. And this was like this huge learning curve for me, but it was really, really rewarding. So I made this Sudoku app. By the way, little point, if you're demoing anything and it's just like, I just kind of got buttons, use the Montserrat font. Just grab that from Google API, like Google Fonts, throw it in. I will tell you, it will make your apps so much more beautiful. Just trust me on that one. Also, I might make this the min. Sorry, well, record. But yeah. So the point of this app is that you can play Sudoku. So here is. I'm going to play an easy one, and there's my Sudoku board. Now everything you see, except for these kind of buttons, but everything else you see, this part here, this part down here, that's all SVG. Let me put it in a new window here. And there's easy. Let's open up the actual DevTools. Put this off to the side. That is way too small. And yeah, let's take a look at some of our elements here. So we have this, I made this group that I translated over 600 and yada, yada, yada. And this is a rectangle that also happens to have in it this text this rectangle in this text. And I can use that to these hints. So I can select here 9. This is also an SVG. And yeah, I'm basically able to play this game, and I'm able to generate all these graphics programmatically and manipulate them and interact with them. So I have attached click events to the SVG, and it's responding to them, and it knows what I'm clicking on. And so I'm going to take off instant hint here, and I have these little smaller rectangles for hints. So in this block, what could there be? Let me choose one where I'm kind of, I guess in this somewhere, there's got to be a 1, a 3, and an 8, I think. I know the 1 and the 3 can't be here. So let's put, but let's kind of guess at least the 1, the 3. Now, if I say 8 and click on this, it's going to kind of take away the hint. So I'm able to have really pretty cool control over a bunch of the shapes. I guess there's a 3 there, the 1 there. Yeah, so what I want to talk about a bit tonight is how you can use it to make this. Now, I really love making puzzles. I really love making puzzles. I love playing puzzles. Here's a puzzle called Philippex that I'm a huge fan of at Conceptus, and I've been trying to sort of recreate these guys as much as possible, just because like they have some of the greatest logic puzzles. They also make a mobile app that I recommend you take a look at. A few mobile apps, in point of fact. But yeah, this is the sort of thing we could recreate with SVG as well. I think they use Flash, but we could use SVG. So if I take a look at the code for this, now I am using Redux on this. If you ever look at this particular project, you're going to see a lot of Redux. But leave that alone for a moment. Let's go off the game select. So here, for instance, we have the number select, which is, I kind of used styled, which is styled components is the other thing, but these are paths. And I have this icon path, which all this is here is, oh yeah, this is the icon for when you actually get into this, that's this, right? So I made a path, I made a few arcs, and then I made an X in the middle. Move to 30-60 and do a line to 60-30. Move to 30-30, do a line to 60-60. That's the X. And yeah, all of these squares are just SVGs, and I'm creating them and using them the exact same way I would do with any HTML element, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. So let's try to do that ourselves. And what I want to do is I want to create a little tic-tac-toe game, and I want to see kind of what that would look like. So I have React built in here. I'm going to just make a JSX expression. Const JSX expression equals, I always kind of start with an H1 that says hi, just to make sure that I'm actually getting rendered. So I have a div ID root. So I'm going to say React DOM dot render the JSX expression into document dot get element by ID. Okay, so I'm going to replace that with an SVG. Now, right now it's an SVG with nothing in it. So I should probably maybe I want to put a circle to start with. That just might give me some sense of where I am. So let's put the center X is going to be 50. Center Y is also 50. Radius equals 20. All right, there it is. Kind of taking up that particular space. It's 40 by 40. It's in this space. The SVG is, if I take this down to the dev tools at the bottom, you can see the SVG is kind of as sort of this 300 by 150. Why not? But we can say the SVG should be as big as we want. Usually, you can actually put in a width and height, or you can put in a width and height. One of the things I often do, the only real thing I use is something called ViewBox. What ViewBox does is you put in 4 numbers. The first is the X, and this is how you define what the coordinate space is for your thing. So let's say for a moment that 0, 0, 100, 100. So now, what changed? Well, for starters, my SVG is the width. The fact that I set a ViewBox in there means it decided I'm going to take up as much space as I can, almost like a block element. The 0, 0 said my top left corner is the 0, 0 of my coordinate space. And the 100, 100 said, and this is 100 pixels by 100 pixels. And pixels here being some sort of Cartesian unit. You know, when it's like move X over by 1 and Y over by 3, it's like, okay, by that much. So if I said that this was 1,000, like now that's that. If I also said that this was minus 500, minus 500, again, it sort of finds itself in the middle. It's like, okay, I am 1,000 by 1,000, and my center point is, in fact, I'm going to put this as 0, 0. Like, I am 1,000 by 1,000 space, and my origin, my top left corner represents minus 500, minus 500. If I made this negative, I would be able to flip the coordinate space, I think. It's a whole thing. So now we have a coordinate space, which means that if I decide, like, oh, I want all of my stuff to be a nice divisible number, but I want this thing to scale and grow, I don't have to limit my concept of pixels to the actual pixels on the screen, which is handy. They're just Cartesian units. They mean what I want them to mean. Okay, so I want to make tic-tac-toe. So let me start with, my view box is going to be 0, 0, 300, 300. All right, that's at 0, 0. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to make a path. So I want to make something that has all the lines of a tic-tac-toe board. So here I start with the D. So the path is, I get to make just a path. The D is kind of the direction this thing will be going. It's kind of easy to think of D as direction. It's kind of not, but that's fine. I'm going to say fill none and stroke black. So this is, don't fill in the shape and also draw it with a black pen. You can do it like that. So D equals. So I'm going to start by saying that I'm going to draw the lines from the top down. And the top line, if I'm in a 300 by 300 pixel space, I guess I want to move to 0. And so I want to be 100 over and at the top. And then I want to make a line that doesn't go across, it goes 300 down. Oh, and there it is. There's another way I could do this. I could say that this is a vertical line that goes 300. And there we go. Now I want to move again. If I said capital M, then I am saying I want to move to a very specific location. So I want to move to 200, 0, and do another B300. Now, or maybe I'll try doing 200, 300, and V minus 300, right? So now I'm going down and then going up. If I said this was lowercase m, then it would try to go over 200 and down 300, and our line would be gone. But it's good to remember which of these you use. All right. Now I want to draw the horizontal lines. So I'm going to say, I'm going to move, went down and then went up. Maybe I'm going to move to 300 on the x-axis, 100 on the y-axis, and do a horizontal line that is minus 300. Then, same thing, move. I'm use the lowercase m just to kind of show how it is. So I'm now my cursor is now at this point. And I want to move not over, but 100 down. And then I'm going to draw another horizontal line. This 300. Cool, so now I have this space, all right? So I'm even going to call this, I can assign a class to this like I would to any HTML element. So the class here is lines. Now here I set fill none stroke black, right? Let me get rid of those two. This is a cool part. So now that they're gone, right? Here's another cool thing I can do. That's right. I can actually access these with CSS. There's so many things I can set here. I like it's sort of square at the edges there. I want that to be, well, for that, I want to set my stroke width to be 5. And I want my stroke line cap to be round. I feel like I'm doing that wrong. Let me double check. Stroke line cap. Might be something I can't access by square but round. It might not be something I can put in the CSS. I might have to keep it on the path itself. So, oh well. We save that and say stroke line cap. Interesting. Doesn't seem to want to work at all. Oh well. So, wonder if I'm missing anything. Well, I'm sure we'll figure it out as time goes on. Okay, so now we have some aspects of this that we can manipulate. All right, now what I want to do is I want to have a game of, tic-tac-toe, which means I'm also going to need an X. I think I'm going to make the stroke blue. Or maybe I'm going to make it black and make the images, the actual markers, blue. So maybe I'm going to make a path class equals, this is called knots and crosses in Britain because they're weird. Sadie, I hope you're watching this. So I'm going to call it knot. And well, I can make it a path. What I can do here is move to, I'm going to start by saying that I want this to be on the 0, 0. On the 50-50? Yeah, on the 50-50. So let's just say that I want it to be centered around 100, and I want it to be a line that starts from like maybe 10 down at the top. Yeah. So let me say I'm going to move 10, 50. So that's kind of, if you think of the circle as being here, it's just like right here. And I'm going to arc. This is going to be a 40 by 40. I can never remember exactly how to use these correctly, so I'm just going to use those. And I'm going to say that I'm going to stay on 10. Or no, stay on the 50, so it'll be 90, 50. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So now I have, at least I know I have a shape. Let me fill none, stroke blue, stroke width. Okay, now I could just arc this back. I'm going to see if I can bring it all the way back to a 1050. So there's these 3 flags. I'll be honest with you, when I use them, I kind of end up just fudging them a bit. So I'm even going to say 1150 and see what happens. Okay, so now you can see it kind of, there's a bit of it there. Like the 0. 1. Oh, there we go. So yeah, this sets a radius, but it doesn't really say where the center is. So I think I am going to, in fact, 0, 0. If I set this as 50, 10, so you could kind of see how there's a few different ways we could arc this. We're doing an arc from this point to this point, but exactly how that goes, we have some options. There's one. Now it's sort of arcing up and out of the way. Let's take a look at that again on this side. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to have it, I'm going to keep it at 90, 50, and arc it again. 40, 40, that's the radius of the arc. 0, 0, 0. Cool, so we have a full circle. I know I could have just used the circle, but this will let me do a cool thing later. So there's that knot. and then let's make the cross. And for this one, I am going to move to 10, 10. This is pretty simple. I'm just going to draw a line that's 80, 80. We start this cross to have fill none, stroke red. There you are. Stroke width 5. Yeah. And then here I'm just going to go across that. That'd be like, yeah. So move 0 minus 80. And line minus 80, 0. That's what I wanted, even a little bit. So I moved up to the 80. That's there. Oh, positive 80. There we go. Okay. Now, what I want to do, and this is a thing I used quite a few times. It's pretty handy. I'm going to use, I can group a few things together, which is really handy. But what I'm going to add here, now, since I'm happy with this, I might make these into components of their own. So const, so function not return, and this is going to return this not. So I can say it's really changed. So what I might want to do here is say where the position is. So X and Y, and basically it's X 0, 1, 2, Y 0, 1, 2. And I'm just going to add a transform here. That is going to be translate X times 100 Y times 100. I'm going to make sure that X at least is 0 and Y equals 0. And then I'm going to say here, X equals 2. There we go. Y is 1. So I got it to move. Also, one of the things with these elements is that I can attach events to them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say of this not, I have these props coming in and I have the rest of the props. Why don't I add that? I guess this is class name now. And I'm going to say, hey, whatever other props, just add it directly onto the thing. Okay. So I can say, click equals, console.log. Clicked. Okay, so I have a circle here. I have my console. And cool, clicked. Oh, not clicked. Clicked, not clicked. Well, I wanted to click on this whole shape. Why can't I access that shape? And the reason I can't is because I only get to click on the path itself, not the rest of it. Because I didn't use a fill, and because, well, I said fill none. I suppose what I could try doing is fill transparent. See if that makes a difference. Now, indeed it does. So when we say fill none, it doesn't carry pointer events. Fill does. So let's do the same thing with across. Fill transparent. I'm not sure what actually will get filled in here. Let's add this. Take it off the knot. Let's take it on the cross. Now, because this doesn't have a click, because this doesn't have that, you'll notice this isn't really going. How do I make that work? I don't want to have to click exactly on the line. That's kind of a pain. So one thing I can do, one thing I often do with these is I also, so I'm gonna build out that function cross, right? I'm gonna do the same y stuff here. This time I'm going to make a G. So when you're working with divs, you can create a div around things to wrap it up and move it around as you see fit. The same thing with spans, when you're dealing with text. In with SVG, you can create a G, which stands for group. So I'm going to return a G here that is going to contain this path. I'm also going to take off the on-click for a second. It's going to contain this path, right? And I'm going to say cross x is 1. And I'm going to make sure that that follows the pattern above. I hope this code isn't getting too squishy. So I have the x, y, 0. So this time, instead of attaching it to the path itself, I'm going to attach it to this G tag. So here's all those things. And the G doesn't really have a shape of its own, like it doesn't have a click area, so I can't really attach clicks to it. But I can, right behind here, include a rect. That is fill transparent. And that, starts at x is 10, y is 10. I think its height is 80. Width is 80. Let's make the so we can see it. Very good. All right. Back to transparent. And now I'm going to kind of just on click. I'm going to have that on click. In fact, I might be mistaken about this. But I'm fairly certain that I can also just say on click, and anything that is clicked within this will be okay. Let's find out. So there it is. It's now click the group. So even though it's click on the X or clicking on that rectangle, I can kind of click on this and I can kind of fat finger it and it's going to be fine. I could also add one of those here. So that's a really easy way of creating interactive images that you can play with on SVG very simply. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you. And that has to do with the dash array. Stroke dash array. Okay, now the deal with the dash array is that we can have dashed lines. So if I say stroke dash array and give it something like 5, or let's give it 10, you'll notice now here is this item that's broken up every 10 pixels or so. All right? And yeah, it's clearly this thing starts here and then kind of moves that way. So let me we made this 100. Yeah, it kind of starts from here, takes 100, skips 100, gets a little more than that. Let's try. In fact, I'm going to add a transition here. It says take a second to. Okay, so now I'm going to make this 15. Yeah, that's a cool effect, isn't it? All right. There's more that we can do with this. So I'm going to say 1 second stroke dash array, and 1 second. The other thing that we can do with the stroke is we can change the offset. So if I have a thing of 20, you'll notice that this is the starting point, and it starts with 20 here, and then it starts going. Okay. So I'm going to say 1 second stroke dash offset. Right? So that you can see that as I change this, kind of gives this little strobing effect, sort of. Let me 30 and right. So here's the cool part about that. I'm going to add keyframe drawing, and I'm going to say that my 0 is stroke dash array. I'm going to say that it is, I mean, this thing's got to be like, I think if I don't change the dash offset, set it to 440, 100, 200, oh, 40, almost there, 250. Oh, 260. Okay, so if I set the stroke dash array to 260, and then set the offset to also 260, here, yeah, it's totally covered. So let me try 130. Fills it entirely. Fills it by halfway. Let's see if I get this right. Let's try doubling it, 520. Okay. And then saying stroke offset is 260. Going all the way around. Way to do this. 130. 130 here. 65. Oh, that's my problem. Dash offset. Okay, let's try it again. 260 here, and we say 260 here. So you can see what happens. Let's set this to be 300. 100. Okay, so as the dash offset goes down, so let's go stroke dash offset 100. Let's say that 100% is stroke dash offset 0. And rather than having transition, I'm going to say animation 3 second. I'm also going to take that off. Oh, you cheeky rat. Keyframes. Okay, there it is. There's that drawing effect. Let me kind of bring this in a bit. And let's watch that again. I'm also going to add this to the cross. Which, for that to work, I need to also set the dash array to be. All right. I think for drawing the X, I'm going to make this 600. I'm going to say, make another one of these just to deal with the fact that I think it is longer. Path, drawing cross, 100. It's okay if it's a bit too much. Let's say this is drawing cross. Okay, so it seems to have started at both of those lines. All right. But that's one way to sort of make a shape and make it draw. So that gives the effect of something drawing onto the screen. This gives a really clear indication that something actually happened, which I think is a really great use for SVG. The fact that it is already a drawing path is something that you can replicate in your own apps. Okay, so I'm going to leave this alone for the night. I think it'd be really cool to see if anyone could come up with a version of tic-tac-toe that actually did use this, where as you clicked a spot, it actually drew the X into place. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise for the reader. Thank you guys so much for paying attention. Feel free to comment, hit like and subscribe. And yeah, let me know what you think. Ask me any questions on Slack. And I'm going to put out a thing to find out who's going to be there on Thursday, just because the weather has been so absolutely abominably crappy. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.